to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr Mumbi Saraki. How are you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways, and that you're living, or at least moving into living, life on your own terms and truly your best life, because those are the seasons and times that we're in. But to live your best life, it can't be part of the Babylon system. So you can't be thinking mansions, cars, golf or whatever, luxury travel. No, that matrix is gone, beloveds. We really have to now dial down our lives and create our best lives in nature. Simple, and simple is not bad. Simple is actually a wonderful thing. I really want to send a special shout out to everyone that supports us on Patreon and our PayPal supporters as well. We appreciate, love you so much. We've actually sent a gift. There are some books that we're also going to be sharing on those platforms that you can now delve deeper. But remember, no one can do the spiritual work for you. No one can do the research for you. People can point you in the right direction, but it's up to you to look at the things that resonate, the things that ring true for you, and incorporate that into your own kind of system of belief. Can I say that? Although now we have to move from system of belief to system of knowing, but that's not even why we're here today. So Prince Philip passed on over the weekend at the age of 99, if we're to believe it. And we're witnessing the fall of the Babylon Empire, beloveds. We're witnessing the fall of the Babylon Empire. If you look at the significance of the number 99, the fact that he died on Camilla and Charles's wedding anniversary, nothing happens by accident, and so many people have been contacting me about his death. The only thing that was amazing is that many people across Africa, at first it was trending, it was like number one everywhere on Twitter, etc. Although I really think they doctor these algorithms to try and make it seem like certain topics, international topics, are being discussed. But at first we saw, and it was great to see the across Africa the response to his death. While the elite were like, "Oh, may he rest in peace," a lot of Africans were like, "It's good. The British Empire has done so many. We ain't mourning him. The British Empire has still done so many nasty things, to our people and to the entire world." But how did the British Empire really, how were they able to conquer the whole world, beloveds? It wasn't because, they're more superior, which is what they want people to think. It wasn't because they had a mighty army, which is what they want many people to think. No, it was because, they got certain knowledge from us. Certain knowledge was revealed to them. And then they use that knowledge to control the whole world, because, there are certain communities among the Black nation, the melanated people. One of those communities is the Agikoyo nation, my people, who had certain secrets. And, through one way or another, those secrets, they got those secrets, etc., and they have been using those secrets to mash up Africa ever since. Like, I'll even get into it. There's this guy Crowley, and if you know Crowley, he's the one who all these celebrities follow, etc. Really dark, blood sacrifice kind of guy. He was like one of the Mzungu, the highest Mzungu magicians, but he used a lot of Egyptian knowledge and a lot of Agikoyo people's knowledge, etc., to place grids across Africa, like curse grids. I don't know how else to explain it. And these grids are still there till today. And the grid was kind of to just block and shatter and scatter, divide and conquer, if I can put it that. The true stations of African, power, African spirituality, because we had pillars. The pyramids were one of them. The great mountains across the Great Lakes, another area in Africa, were other pinnacles. And I'm not going to get into that because now that's some of the like secret science, secret knowledge. But we have to realize there are like curse grids that have been placed energetically to kind of block Africa and the people of Africa. It's kind of arrested us spiritually so that all these things can happen. Because, I mean, come on. How do you think that, all this gold and all this gold is just taken from our lands, all our diamonds, all our rubies, and we're getting paper in return for it? Like, it just doesn't make sense, beloveds, that we've been, and with this whole colonialism. But the thing is, apart from these grids that were put over, over the Eden, basically, apart from that, and they got that knowledge from ourselves. Apart from that, they also used cultural colonialism, and, their whole thing was a cultural takeover, but they had to have their spiritual things in place first. And the cultural colonialism, basically, how it works is that the oppressor comes and destroys a people's coherent vision of themselves and then replaces it completely with a foreign culture or the conqueror's culture. And this is done through punishment and reward, the carrot stick kind of thing. And this is what happened, because if you really look at it, beloveds, the majority of our people, even our leaders, and this is what is so dangerous, even our spiritual leaders, do not have a coherent vision of themselves or of their people or even of the nation of Zion or the nation of Eden or Al Kabul and whatever you want to call us. They don't have a coherent vision. And so the only vision they rely on, the only solutions they can tap into are the solutions of Babylon. And that was part of the plan. But it would not have worked if these energetic grids were not there. And it started, I shared a video on this, it started with destroying our shrines, beloveds. And of course, to destroy our shrines, there are those among us that led to that. And maybe I'll get into why Africa fell. There are many, many reasons, but spiritually, why Africa fell, it's been one of the things that's really been just heavy. Like, how did gods fall so low? How did the highest man become, a beggar in his own planet? And I keep telling you, it's beyond the Mzungu. But because we don't have a coherent view of ourselves or our history, I mean, they have totally cloned us as a people. Totally. And they've concentrated specifically on some really key nations to flip them, the nations which had those pillars. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Welcome back, beloveds, to Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? For us now, I know we're in the age of information, and so there is a lot of information overload, and that's kind of how the Babylon system wants it. They want you to have so much information just thrown at you that it even creates more confusion during this great awakening and the great returning to ourselves, the great returning to who we are and to that knowledge. Those are the seasons and times we're in. And with the death of Prince Philip, the British Empire is falling, beloveds. It's so funny. Some people were saying he was like 2,400 years old and had just been shape-shifting, etc., getting new vessels, etc. He even released a statement one time back in the day where he was like, if he was to reincarnate after dying, he would love to come as a deadly virus to help with population control. Now, many people will be like, ha, 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 that's so funny, but these are the realities. And the thing is, beloveds, we have to recognize that a lot of the things that are happening are not physical. You see, you're trying to be convinced that, everything is physical. The Mzungus came to Africa physically, they colonized us, and it was just so easy to do, and all of that happened. And now, physically, we're just poor because we're not intelligent enough to compete in the world economy, etc., etc. But it's not that simple. And there's so many secrets, and the major secret is who you are. And once you know who you are, it really just, a lot of things fall into place. And the other secret is that our magic, our power, our spiritual principles are not only being used to govern this world, but to oppress us. And I really have to get into why Africa fell and how we even got into this place to begin with. But we have to really overstand, it's very hard for people to get out of this, because we walked into this mess. They got us into this mess mentally. So we have to walk out mentally. So there's certain overstandings and understandings that you just need to get. Like, you just need your mind just needs to hear it so that it can put certain things in place and put certain puzzle pieces in place. Because it's like, we were a complex, gorgeous puzzle, and the Mzunka just came and did pop, and all the pieces went everywhere, and we're now trying to put all the pieces together. But the main thing they did, aside from these grids that are over the continent till now, this is what the religious folks should be chanting down. And the Agikoyo used to call it the spell of sleep, and our seers warned us that there would be this spell, that the Mzungu put a spell of sleep over us, and then he came in and got us mentally through the missionaries, and then came in with the army to try and maintain it. But the army was like the final step. They already had us education, etc., etc. And so our people have suffered from a cultural colonialism, beloveds, and we still suffer till today. And that's why freedom is an illusion. We have never been free, because to be free is to be yourself. You cannot be free in another man's language, in another man's culture, in another man's system. And so we've been seeking the wrong freedom. We haven't actually been seeking freedom, because we can't be free within the system. And that's what Africa has been doing. Kenya wants to be a free sovereign state, but Kenya doesn't even belong to the African people. Kenyan is a Mzungu concept. It's even it isn't. They say it's in the Bible, the nest of Kenya. But those are still the stories for the days. But all of this means that the liberation is much deeper, beloveds, because it's not a physical liberation. It's a cultural liberation. And that means that each and every person must become strong enough to reject the cultural instruments that have cloned them into a Mzungu, a Babylonian, a Roman, etc., etc. And it's happened over time, beloveds. It didn't just happen, but it happened over time. And this is the time for us to start walking out of it. And the way we walk out of it, beloveds, is we first have to get back what they took from us. So we have to come up with a coherent vision of ourselves that will replace the Babylon culture. That is the only way, beloveds. Which means that we need to create our own communities, we need to create our own societies, we need to create our own science, our own systems. We can't create it within the Babylon system. So you can't say that you're going to use the internet or the World Wide Web to create, you're creating it within the Babylon system. You can't create anything within the Babylon system. Whether our people contributed to it, I know, because some people will say, there were Africans who were involved in making the World Wide Web. I think there was one black scientist, etc., etc. But we can't, everything of theirs, the culture is the prison. That's the only way the British Empire has been able to, proliferate, I can't even say the word itself. It's because the culture is the prison. And so we keep wanting to escape the prison physically, mentally, but not culturally. And the great works that we are here as the chosen ones to do is to create this coherent vision of ourselves that will now form the foundation of the age to come, the golden age, our time. But we cannot do it by saving anything of Babylon. And that's why I've been saying, really start to disconnect yourself as much as possible from Babylon. Get off their screens. By this time, you shouldn't be watching TV. You shouldn't be watching news. You really shouldn't be watching movies, TV shows. All of that is programming, beloveds. You pay a high price for that kind of entertainment, a very high price, and it's just not worth it. You have to get your children out of the cartoons, etc., etc. Get them reading, at least, because reading really opens up so many different facets of the mind. Get out of the screens, beloveds. Get off the various apps. Start to reduce the apps that you're on, or even the time you spend in them, and get back to nature and really connect, spiritually. Make your spiritual life more real than your physical. Because in this whole cultural colonialism, when we lost the vision of ourselves as spiritual beings having a human experience, the consequences of that was that, how do I put this? The consequences of that was that now we've lost our compass. And the fact that, we are spiritual. We now see ourselves as physical. We are so disconnected. And it's because of this cultural colonialism. And ultimately, we have to walk away from the matrix if we are to survive. Many won't be able to. But really, for the chosen ones, we have to provide an alternative culture, an alternative system, so that can now overlay the Babylon system that has caused so much mayhem across our people. I really look forward to hearing your comments about this below. Until next time, tuko pamoja.